and call the Senate to order. Sergeant Arms, please secure the doors. The members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, Senators, we are very, very pleased today to have Reverend Rick Powell of Christian Temple Disciples of Christ in Catonsville, Maryland, guest of the distinguished senator from the 44th District. Please rise for the invocation.
Will you pray with me? Good and loving God, we thank you for the day you have given to us and for the capacities that come from you to enjoy this day. We are here in this place today to take care of the ordinary business of this great state, even as we know that extraordinary things will arise from what we do and from our being together. We are here in this place of relative quiet and calm, even as we know that in other parts of the world life is chaotic, dangerous, and filled with fear. We are here in this place filled with people who have answered the call to be public servants, offering their time, their wisdom, their experience, and their hearts to the business that is before this great state of Maryland. Loving God, our prayer is that as this assembly goes about its work today, they would keep in mind not only the needs and wants of their constituents, but also the greater good that might come about because of their deliberations. Give them hearts for the poor among us, the young among us, the elderly among us, the marginalized among us, the sick among us, and all those whose interests might be served by the work they were sent here to do. Finally, O God, we ask that this body might serve as an example for others in our nation, that even though we come at life from differing experiences, we have a wide variety of views and opinions, we are still able to come together to create strong legislation that serves a purpose higher than any of our own. With these and so many other things on our minds and in our hearts, we pray. Amen.
All right, Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reverend Rick Powell, he's pastored Christian Temple for 27 years. His church, when I was listening to his prayer, is really it's an embodiment of that prayer. It's one of the most welcoming churches in the community. Just along Edmondson Avenue, south of Academy Heights. I can remember just a number of years ago when when the Catonsville community was going through some of the trauma and things given what was happening in larger society. He opened up his campus and community members came and spoke with regards to a lot of the tragedy that black citizens were experiencing in that community, and for that I am thankful to him and his church, and I would ask that his prayer be journalized. Without objection,
Thank you for those comments. We will journalize the Reverend's invocation this morning, and thank him for being here with us today. All right, has everyone recorded their presence? Double check. It looks like we're missing a couple here. All right. JPR is here. No? I'm just looking at I'm looking at who's missing. That was all right. Clerk will take the call. All right, fair enough. All right, with 38 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Introductions. Do we want to start the senator from District 7?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Doctor of the Day is Dr. Frank Spandero. He's off to my left here. He's racking up some serious frequent flyer miles. I think this is his third or fourth time here this session. He says he's really enjoying it. Maybe we'll see him sit in one of these chairs in the future.
There we go.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here for us. Our loyalty card will be out there on the back. It's all right. Let's see. For a senator from the 36th District.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the gallery, we have a very special guest in the gallery today. Riley Bridgham is here with us celebrating her 21st birthday.
Hey, happy birthday. Wonderful.
She's here with her brother Will, her mom Jen, her dad Bridgham, They are also taking a tour of the State House, and I think they're going to climb to the top of the dome a little bit later. I earlier gave her a letter from all of us in the Senate to wish her a happy birthday, and a letter from the governor. So, again, please wish Riley a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Riley. Thank you for being here with us. And enjoy that dome. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of steps. More steps than you think. It just keeps going and going and going and going. Enjoy. All right. Let's see. Do we have Chair of Education, Health, Environmental Affairs?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to rise for introduction. Great. Mr. President, November 3rd, 2020 was a very important day, and Dorothy Rothgeb, the woman in front of the chamber, was doggone if anything was going to get in the way of her opportunity to vote. As a lifelong person active in small d and large d democratic pursuits, she would be voting on Election Day come hell or high water. But that day was significant for another reason. On Election Day, a year and a half ago, she turned 100. But that's only part of her story. She's not here simply because of her age, trust me. I'm a little biased, she's my mother-in-law. But let me give you a couple of examples of her pursuit of public giving and serving the public over her lifetime. She grew up in Long Beach, New York, Long Beach, Long Island, and she was a great swimmer. And when she was 18, in like 1939, she was selected to join Billy Rose's Aquacade. Now, I'm sure that doesn't mean a lot to most people. It was like water ballet, synchronized swimming before it was an Olympic sport. But it wasn't 2 or 3 people in a pool for 3 minutes. It would be like 50 people with feathers and caps and music for an hour. And they do a performance like a play or like the circus. I mean, you'd go to it, it was an event. And Billy Rose's Aquacade, they performed at the 1939 New York World's Fair. They performed in the San Francisco Expo. And interestingly enough, for 2 years, at 19 and 20, traveled over 35 states performing across the country at age 19 and 20. So that was her first piece of history. She later married, moved to the DC area, and actually lived in Hyattsville, the area I currently represent, which is ironic. And one day, I think 1962, I think is the right date, she drove out to this far-off place, this far-off land called Bowie. In 62, it was the other, somewhere else. And she went by herself, she plunked down money, and she bought a house. Not with her husband, not asking anybody else, she bought a house. Now, I can't imagine what dinner was like that night. And I assume they sent the 6 kids to bed early to work out some differences. And again, I hearken back to the Senator from 21 talking about his grandmother, who was a doctor in the 20s and the early 30s in Italy. So we're talking about breaking barriers at a very early time. And while in Bowie, she worked on many campaigns, folded lots of envelopes, more campaigns than I can imagine. Years later, in her 60s, up until the age of 80, she became a part-time liquor inspector. Now, what do? Starting at 6 o'clock on a Friday night until 2 a.m., they go into all the bars with a partner to make sure things are on the up and up, that they aren't pouring to underage people, they close on time. And this is in District Heights, in College Park, in Landover. I wasn't going to do that. She was doing it on Friday night and Saturday night, up until age 80. And even on Sunday mornings, they'd be assigned to go into a bar or restaurant, like at 11:45, before they were allowed to sell liquor, I guess at noon. And she, of course, would go in and ask for a Bloody Mary. So you're the bartender, this nice lady is not going to be a bother, they'd serve her Bloody Mary. She'd whip out her violation book, and she believed the rules were the rules. And maybe the first time it was a warning and not a violation, but that's what she was doing up until age 80. Later, and I'm going to move this up to 2016, she moved into an independent living facility in Odenton. And election day was coming up. And she said, well, where are we voting? How are we getting to the polls? And people looked around and shrugged. She called me, she's 96, calls me and said, we got to get something going here. I called the center from the 21st and talked to Carolyn at that point, and they organized vans to take people, seniors, to vote at the precinct nearby. So she's organizing at 96. Right. So it's an amazing life. And look, it's bittersweet. We understand that. Unfortunately, 3 of her children predeceased her. When you get older, a lot of your contemporaries move away or pass on, and unfortunately, even your children. So it's an amazing life and an exemplary life that I think we could all look forward to. We should all be this healthy and sharp. And she's listening to MSNBC during the day, and she's loves to talk politics and was a great friend. And she and Mike Miller, our former president, late president, got along very well when I was not interrupting that relationship. But with her today, Jennifer Rothgeb, her husband Jim Esposito from the 33rd District, Jill Strickland, the other daughter, and then her 2 granddaughters, my 2 children, Sarah and Laura Pinsky. So with that, Mr. President, and knowing the history and life that's been filled with helping and serving others, I would ask that the clerk read the resolution in full.
Clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Dorothy Rothgeb in recognition of the celebration of your 101st birthday. May the wisdom of your years be shared with all you know and love you. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 24th day of March, 2022.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. Ms. Rothgeb, the entire Senate of Maryland wishes you the happiest of happy birthdays on this 101st birthday. Truly remarkable. We are so thankful for your son-in-law and everything that your impact on this state is just unbelievable, and we celebrate you enormously. Congratulations. Now I know. Don't make that Bloody Mary drink, right? All right. Do we have our team? Okay. We have one additional resolution that maybe we will take up when they arrive. They got stuck in traffic. So maybe we go ahead and get started, and then we'll just take a quick pause in the middle once. Oh, yes. Chair recognizes the co-chair of the Protocol Committee from the 37th District.
Thank you very much, Ms. President. Yes, we are delighted to have 3 young ladies with us, our pages, who have been working with us virtually for all these many weeks, and now they are here in person to experience the energy and the great debate and to see us in action. So even though they've been watching us in action probably for the past some 9 or 10 weeks, now they get to be here. And it's a little bit different from what they tell me. So from Howard County District 12, Howard High School, Lucia Denmead. From Montgomery County, oh, excuse me, go ahead. Let's clap for Lucia. From Montgomery County, District 16, Richard Montgomery High School, Jupleen Knauer. Thank you. And Hannah Quigley from Howard County, District 14, Glenelg Country School. Welcome, students. And we are so appreciative that you are with us, and we hope that you've gained a lot from your experience over these past, well, it'll be almost 12 weeks in the next couple of weeks to use in your future endeavors. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and we celebrate our pages. Thank you all for being here today, and I hope you all enjoy the day. All right, Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's hard to follow someone who's being celebrated for turning 101, but I have two really dear friends with me today. So Trish Brennan-Gack is a District 18 resident who was a legal fellow in my House office, and we're deciding whether that was in 1996 or 97, but she's gone on to become a lawyer, an education activist, an advocate, nationally known. She works on disinformation now, as well as reading and other education issues. And my other guest is another dear friend, Dan Navarro, who's with us from Los Angeles. You may remember Lowen and Navarro, whose song We Belong was a chart topper, and Dan co-wrote that with Eric Lowen, his singing partner, and we celebrated and remembered the 10-year anniversary of Eric's passing from Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, last night at a beautiful show. Dan has 13 albums to his name and tours nationally all the time, and he is in Annapolis performing at 49 West. A bunch of us are going tonight. Feel free to join us. We'd love to fill the place up with anyone within the sound of my voice. So delighted to welcome my other friend, Dan Navarro.
Welcome. Welcome. Pleasure to have you all. Thank you. All right. How are we on the, do we, nope. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and get started. We will, without objection, we'll waive the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We have a message from the House. Clerk will read the message.
House Bill 1121, Delegate Jones, Motor Vehicle Administration, Voluntary Developmental Disability Self-Disclosure Envelope, Rules.
All right. Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. These bills will be referred to their appropriate standing committees. Senator from the Prince George's.
Thank you, Mr. President. The one thing that the senator left out was that Mrs. Rothgeb worked at Elizabeth Seton in Prince George's County, and at the time she lived in in Bladensburg, and that's how I had an opportunity to meet her. And she just did a miraculous job at Elizabeth Seton, mentoring those young women at that school. And I just want you all to know that one of the reasons why she's living so long and doing so well is because of the service that she rendered for those young women and so many people in Prince George's County. I just cannot say enough about Ms. Rothgeb.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you for that reflection, Senator. Thank you. All right, let's go to the Committee on Finance. This is calendar number 19. Are we ready? If so, the clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 23, Senator Carter, Equity and Transportation Sector Guidelines and Analysis, favorable with 2 amendments.
All right, Chair recognizes the Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 23 requires the Maryland Department of Transportation, MDOT, before announcing or proposing any major service change under certain federal standards to conduct a transit equity analysis, perform a cost-benefit analysis, consult with members and leaders of affected communities, and take specified actions based on the results of these activities. MDOT must also perform these analyses and consult with affected community members and leaders before announcing any reduction or cancellation of a capital expansion project in the Consolidated Transportation Program that exceeds certain thresholds. The bill also expands existing transportation plans, reports, and committees to include transportation equity issues. There are 2 amendments. One makes changes to the title of the bill. Among other changes, it strikes provisions that would establish a Commission on Transportation Equity and instead requires the Maryland Transit Administration to develop the transit equity analysis. Alters required analysis and other actions MDOT must take before announcing major changes in service or reductions or cancellations of capital expansion projects, and delays by 1 year requirement that the attainment report on transportation system performances recommend indicators that can be evaluated for certain equity issues. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 23 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 720, Senator Kelly, State Board of Examiners of Nursing Home Administrators, renaming and licensure of assisted living managers, favorable with 6 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 720 renames the State Board of Examiners of Nursing Home Administrators to be the State Board of Long-Term Care Administrators and requires that an individual must be licensed by the board to practice as an assisted living manager in the state beginning October 1, 2024. The bill alters board structure and membership requirements, specifies that the board is a medical review committee, and makes conforming changes. Amendment 1 adds sponsors and is technical. Amendment 2 requires the Office of Healthcare Quality to notify the board if an assisted living program is appointed as a resident's representative payee. Requires managers employed by an assisted living program licensed for 4 or more beds to take a specified manager in training course. Alters the composition of the board to include an equal number of nursing home administrators and assisted living managers, and retains current language regarding failure to appear at a hearing. Amendments 3 and 4 authorize a specified manager to act as interim assisted living manager. Apply an exemption for the assisted living manager training course requirement to applicants. Grandfather specific managers at a program with 5 or more beds and strikes inconsistent language. Amendments 5 and 6 lower penalties, establish a civil penalty, alter board member terms, and add a reporting requirement. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 6 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 6 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 720 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 753, Senator Hester, Labor and Employment, Workforce Development, Cybersecurity, favorable with 5 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 753 establishes the Cybersecurity Workforce Acceleration Program at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and the Cybersecurity Workforce Acceleration Fund, which is administered by the program. The purpose of the program and the fund is to support the innovative approaches to meeting cybersecurity workforce needs. The Department of Commerce and the Maryland Department of Labor must assist in administering the accelerated program, and the bill includes multiple mandated appropriations, including funds for the accelerated fund. Amendment number 1 alters the title and is technical. Amendment number 2 adds duties to the Cyber Warrior Diversity Program and specifies the unspent funds must remain with the program. Amendment number 3 is clarifying and modifies the duties of the program and the requirements regarding the use of the fund. Amendment number 4 eliminates and reduces the mandated appropriation in the bill. Amendment number 5 sunsets the act in 2 years and makes consistent changes to a reporting requirement and 1 mandated appropriation. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of a favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 5 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 5 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 753 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 890, Senator Kelly, Abortion Care Access Act, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 890 establishes the Abortion Care Clinical Training Program in the Maryland Department of Health and a related special fund for which the governor must include in the budget bill an appropriation of $3.5 million annually for the program. The department must contract with a coordinating organization to administer the program. In addition, the bill expands the authority to provide abortion care services to qualified providers, individuals who are licensed, certified, or otherwise authorized by law to practice in the state and for whom the performance of an abortion is within the scope of the individual's license or certification. The bill also establishes requirements for how a health insurance carrier and Medicaid must cover abortion care services. Carriers must cover abortion care service without a cost-sharing requirement, and both carriers and Medicaid must cover abortion care services in a manner consistent with the protected right to an abortion under state law. Amendment 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 alters requirements on the coordinating organization for the training program, strikes provisions that would have altered procedures for notifying a parent or guardian when an abortion is performed for a minor, and clarifies an exclusion from insurance coverage requirements available to religious organizations. The amendment also alters certain reporting requirements, applies the insurance provisions prospectively, and clarifies a requirement on the Maryland Health Benefit Exchange to provide a subsidy to cover 100% of the cost of the insurance premium for certain young adults participating in the state-based Young Adult Health Insurance Subsidies Pilot Program. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, Chair recognizes the minority leader.
Yeah, this is a major policy change, and we're waiting for some answers, so I'd like to lay it over under the rules, please.
The senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendments will be laid over under the rule.
Could I ask if those with amendments would get us copies in advance so we can properly analyze your concerns and answer you? Thank you.
Certainly. All right. Let's clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 955, Senator Benson, Maryland School for the Deaf, professional personnel and staff, service designation, assignment, and placement in a collective bargaining unit, favorable.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 955 specifies that professional personnel and staff employed by the Maryland School for the Deaf are in the professional and skilled services in the state personnel management system. In addition, the Secretary of Budget and Management must assign all professional personnel and staff classifications and positions to the professional and skilled services and all relevant positions in the professional and skilled services bargaining units A, B, C, D, F, or H. Further, an employee migrated to SPMS or assigned to a bargaining unit by the Secretary of Budget and Management must suffer no diminution of pay or benefits. The bill codifies the current circumstances of the targeted employees of the school. There are no amendments and there is no real fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move, therefore, the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 955 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. We've got another calendar from Finance. This is number 20. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 937, Delegate Kelly, Abortion Care Access Act, favorable.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee. Is the floor leader?
Thank you. House Bill 937 is the same as Senate Bill 890, which the Senate passed earlier. Okay. The bill establishes the abortion care clinical training program in the Maryland Department of Health and a related special fund for which the governor must include in the budget bill an appropriation of $3.5 million annually for the program. Among other provisions, the bill also expands the authority to provide abortion care services to qualified providers as defined in the bill and establishes requirements for how a health insurance carrier and Medicaid must cover abortion care services. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report and ask that it be laid over till tomorrow.
So the senators move to move the favorable committee report. We don't have amendments on this one, so we're going to have to special order it.
Okay, that'd be special ordered until
All right,
tomorrow.
senators requested that we special order it to the appropriate calendar after the Senate version of the bill. Are there any objections to the senator's motion? Without objection, so ordered. All right, we've got a judicial proceedings calendar. Number 26, clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 652, Senator Casserly, Criminal Law, Murder of a Police Officer, Officer Keone Hawley, Public Safety Act.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, in 2006, I deployed to Iraq with a frontline unit into the most volatile province. I deployed from this state as an Army reservist. But there were two things that the state of Maryland did that gave me great comfort. The first was the scholarship program. Thank you for that. It was, you know, as a reservist, you're going off, you take a pay cut, and your children can go off to college. That was great. But the other thing that the state did for me was I got a call on my cell phone, on my personal cell. I didn't recognize the number, and I pick it up, and he says, "This is Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown." And I had not had a prior relationship with Lieutenant Governor Brown. I was a county councilman. You know, we don't deal with lieutenant governors so much. And he said, "Listen, I know you're deploying to Iraq. This is my personal cell phone number. You give that to your wife. Tell her anything she needs, call this number." So that kind of you know, it's these little things that you do, just giving out a cell phone number that lets people going into harm's way know how much the folks behind you mean. And that's really what this bill is all about. It's saying that, it's acknowledging that we can't expect people, those who would protect us, to stand in front of us if we will not stand behind them. Colleagues, this is Senate Bill 652. And what it says is that if you hunt down and kill a police officer because they're a police officer, not because you were in a bank shootout, not because you were doing another crime and things went wrong and there was a big shootout and then bullets were flying and an officer got killed. No, this is you hunted down, intended to kill the police officer, knowing they're a police officer. If you do that, we're going to treat you like a conviction in the federal system. You don't get parole. You don't get parole. Currently, we have the feds operating in this state, and they help us out with certain crimes, and when people get convicted of those, they do their time in the federal system. There's no parole. And all this bill is pretty simple. All it says is, if you're one of those people engaging in this most heinous of acts, that we're gonna stand behind that officer and their family, and we're gonna say, you just got convicted basically in the federal system, you don't get parole. Doesn't affect, it's not a mandatory minimum. Whatever the judge is going to give them, they give them. It's just that they serve all the time. I think it's named after Officer Keone Hawley, who was killed in December this past year. Actually, she died in January. But she was shot in cold blood as she sat in her patrol car in a place where, in her marked patrol car, she was not engaged in anything other than sitting there monitoring her radio probably. There was not a crime about her that she was aware of, and she was gunned down and hunted just because she was a law enforcement officer. This is the kind of act that this body needs to send a clear signal that when we ask brave young people to stand up and put on that uniform and go out and go into harm's way 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when we ask them to do that, we're going to stand behind them. Don't you mess with those people. Don't you hunt them down and kill them. It's an important bill, and there were no amendments. It was I'm sorry, there was one technical committee amendment and passed unanimously in the committee. I would move the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader has moved for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just ask that the bill and the amendment and the bill lie over under the rules.
All right, the motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lie over under the rules. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 773, Senator Carter, Public Safety, Firearms Dealer Storage Vaults for Regulated Firearms, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsors. The floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amended bill, provides that an individual may claim a credit against state income tax for the amount paid by the individual to purchase a firearm safety device during the taxable year in and among or equal to or lesser to the lesser of 100% of the purchase price for the firearm safety device, or $250. For any taxable year, the credit may be claimed only once by an individual. If the credit in any taxable year exceeds the state income for the taxable year, the individual may claim a refund in the amount of the excess. And amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 strikes the provisions and establishes a tax credit as specified. Basically, the impetus of this bill was to incentivize and encourage people that are legal gun owners to store them and keep them in a safe way to protect anyone from mistakes or errors, and especially children and other family members in the house. It's a unique bill and a rare bill where both sides of the gun issues came together in support of the bill. Usually you have 2 different sides opposing when any gun bill comes, but this bill brought everyone together because everyone agrees that lawful gun owners should store them safely. And so I would move the favorable committee report and amendments. Thank you.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, chair recognizes chair of the committee.
Yes, I'd just like to ask that the 2 amendments in the bill lie over under the rules.
The motion is in order. The bill and the amendments will lie over under the rule. All right, we've got a 3rd reading calendar. Let's do a quorum call before 3rd reader.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Let's take up the 3rd reader. The clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 480, Senator Hester, State Department of Education, Child Care Stabilization Grants. This is an emergency bill.
Mr. President?
Yes, Senate Bill 480 is on 3rd reader for final passage. This is an emergency bill. Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County.
Do you mind just ringing the bells real quick?
Could we ring the bells, Madam Secretary? All right. So the other issue is we're waiting for a team that is late. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. We'll see if we can figure out. Maybe they'll arrive in the nick of time. All right. Yes, Chair recognizes the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if I could speak on the bill briefly.
Sir, may proceed.
I'm going to support the bill and vote for the bill. We need to help our child care providers, absolutely. And I have a lot of small child care providers in my community, and I think we definitely want to use some of the surplus that we have to try to help them. I do want to make a larger point about the child care system. There's been a lot of talk this session from frankly the majority party and also from us individually about the need to help our child care providers. A lot of our child care providers are small businesses. We have child care providers who are home daycare providers even. One of the major frustrations I hear time and again is not just the money side, but it's also some of the regulations, restrictions, and rules that were placed pretty haphazardly during the pandemic back in 2020 when we were all figuring out what the heck was going on. Some of those things are still in existence that are in a lot of ways over the top, where you get one student in the daycare that is test positive for COVID, got to shut everything down for 2 weeks. And it leaves parents in the lurch. It also means these providers are without revenue many times, but still have to pay their staff, of course, for that period of time. I just wanted to speak and say I support helping, and I support the bill. I do think we need our State Department of Education to really coordinate with the state health department and start going, hey, let's get some common sense here. Particularly young children are not all that vulnerable. They're to serious cases of COVID. We need to start looking at what our rates are and look at what some of the restrictions and regulations are so that we have common sense closures. If COVID's in a daycare center, they need to take quick action, but maybe you don't need to shut a whole daycare center down because one child comes down with a mild case of COVID. I'm just saying. So, and I know we're waiting for it to arrive. So I do want to make that point, and that this is a good bill, and I will be voting to support it.
Thank you, Senator. All right, on the bill, any further discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 480, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 760, Senator Hayes, property tax exemption, religious groups or organizations, third-party leases.
Senate Bill 760 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 760, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Just in the nick of time, I believe. Oh, maybe not. So this is probably going to be the last week that we have in-person resolutions, senators, just so that there might be one or two. Chair recognizes the senator from District 30.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise on a point of personal privilege, if that's appropriate.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, colleagues, we were all kind of watching in fascination and frustration the ship that ran aground or is stuck in the bay. I'd like to thank the senator for St. Mary's County for flagging this yesterday. It seems the ship is actually sitting on top of the Belvedere oyster bed. We've had a lot of conversations about the need to protect oysters, and they need to invest in oysters, and we're watching as the dredging occurs to try to unstick that ship. We're not quite sure of the extent of the environmental degradation that's occurring because of that and the threat to the oyster bed. But Mr. President, I'd like to thank your office for focusing on this. We've reached out to the Attorney General's office trying to find what's going to happen next after that ship becomes unstuck, how we can put that oyster reef back together and make sure that the health of the bay continues to thrive. So I just want to thank your office for that and thank the senator from St. Mary's County for working with me on it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator. Yeah, it's going to be a messy endeavor. Chair recognizes Senator from District 4.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It seems that we have some time to kill. So I actually did have something I wanted to bring up for a point of personal privilege later today anyways. And a lot of times when people get up, and I do it all the time too, use point of personal privilege to talk about something in your district or something going on. And what it's actually supposed to be for, which I'm not arguing to change the way we do it, I'm just saying procedurally, it's if somehow we've been defamed, typically in the press or something. And so I guess this touches on me as well, but I saw the blog that came across today. I thought maybe I shouldn't even say anything, but be honest, I felt so terrible for one individual in the Senate the way that they were discussed. I just felt it could not go. I felt this rhetoric needs to be discussed, and it needs to be rejected completely. So today Maryland Matters has an article about the ACLU and some attacks they've done against the chairman of judicial proceedings. And there's some quotes in here I think that I'd like to read off because I'd like to speak to them personally. First, they talk about the Republican caucus on this side. And this would be speaking about, Mr. President, the efforts that you had talked about earlier about the Senate has reached consensus at crossover on a number of issues. A number of controversial issues we worked together on. That is a fine tradition of this body, a tradition before I got here, a tradition I hope that continues after I leave. Quote, such efforts to make legislation more palatable to Republicans perpetrates white supremacy. This is what the ACLU of Maryland said. She argued that Democrat-heavy Annapolis, there's no need to find support from Republicans. And then she talks about the chairman of judicial proceedings, alleges that, quote, Smith feeds into a system that dismisses and diminishes the advocacy and leadership of black women. Quote, this is from the article that they wrote about our chairman. It is clear that white supremacy is the foul soup we swim in. Also, the article quotes that on a regular basis, the threats that the chairman of our committee receives, that he is, quote, a human cancer, a dead man walking, quote, some good citizens is going to stick an ice pick in your temple and it will be well deserved, end quote. So these are some of the quotes. It talks about the emails that go to his office. So first off, I'd just like to say for our caucus here that was referred to in that way, it's completely unacceptable. I think all of you know our hearts here. We may disagree on issues, but we want the best for the people of Maryland. For our chairman of our committee, I don't always agree with him on issues. We disagree quite frankly. But I just wanted to say the chairman of judicial proceedings is a good man. He has served our country. He served in Afghanistan. He is the first African American to serve as chairman of this committee. And the language and the rhetoric that the ACLU of Maryland, and I really debated bringing this up because they're almost not worth my time to bring it up, but I think a group that uses that kind of rhetoric, that kind of tactics, we saw last session where they went to the chairman's house, the vice chairman's house, they use that kind of rhetoric, those kind of tactics. They should, and extremist groups like that should have no place here in Annapolis and in the Maryland Senate. And Mr. President, if I could just say and leave it on this, we would be much better suited if the extreme voices on both the right and the left, we just tune them out and continue to do good work for the people of Maryland. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Look, tough times right now. All right. Do we have a team? All right. Let's bring them in. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the body, I'm excited to recognize the basketball team from my alma mater, Western High School in Baltimore City. I'm glad we can take this time to spotlight these amazing athletes. The Western Doves won the 4A Girls Basketball Championship on March 11th in an 81-68 electrifying matchup against Clarksburg. Sorry, condolences to the senator from the District 15. And 39. With only a team of 8 people, including the manager, the Doves were outnumbered almost 2-1. They're led by head coach Latasha Townsend and assistant coach Emil Curry. The teammates are present on the floor: Michaela Hammonds, Maya Gray, Briazia Coit, Carrington Harrison, Courtney McCurry, Nisiera Pryor, Gabby Johnson. Asia Roberts manages the team. Although they're small, they're incredibly mighty. The girls' basketball team went undefeated in the City League, winning the championship against Poly, also a District 41 school, earlier this season. Overall, they have a 92% win record. In addition to being stellar athletes, these young women are exemplar scholars. This school, led by Principal Michelle White, has been recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence by the United States Department of Education and as a Silver Medal High School in the United States News, being the oldest operating all-girls school in the nation. Last year, 93.7% of their graduates enrolled in college or university post-graduation. I can best describe this team in 3 words: tenacity, talent, and undeniable zeal. Western High has exemplified that education is truly the key to success. Thank you, Mr. President.
Clerk will read the resolution.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the Western High School girls basketball team in recognition of their extraordinary accomplishment of winning the 2021-2022 Maryland State 4A Girls Basketball Championship, ranking first in the Baltimore City League and second in the division. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 24th day of March 2022.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote?
Mr. President.
Yes, Chair recognizes the minority whip.
In explaining my vote, I played high school basketball on a team with 8 people, and I was the 6th man out of 8. If I was the 6th man getting meaningful minutes off the bench, you know we weren't winning any state championships. But I just want to say, very impressive to have an 8-person team win a state title. That's awesome. Congratulations, and great job in the classroom as well.
Excellent. Chair recognizes the senator from the 15th District.
Mr. President, you remember a week or 2 ago, I had to get up on the floor and announce that District 15 had lost the men's 4A championship. So somebody just texted me that going back 40 years or 50 years in the state championship records, no Senate district has lost both in the same year, the men's 4A and the women's 4A. So I just, as an interest of factoid for the chamber, thank you.
That is a very interesting factoid. Very, very good. All right, the clerk will take the call. Ladies and scholar athletes, the Senate of Maryland is unanimously celebrates Western High School girls basketball team for the Maryland State 4A Girls Basketball Championship. Remarkable, remarkable job, and I know what you're doing on the court is being matched in the classroom. Congratulations. We're so glad you all could make it and made it just in time, right in the nick of time. We're able to make it work. Enjoy your visit today. All right, let's do committee announcements. Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance.
Finance will have bill hearings at 1 p.m. followed by voting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair recognizes the Chair of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. EHE will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings. I believe we have 12 to 14 bills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Budget and Tax.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hearings and voting at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of JPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings, followed by a voting session.
All right. Standing committees? Other standing committees? Any delegations? Delegations? Chair recognizes the Chair of the Montgomery County Delegation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Montgomery County colleagues, immediately following session, we're going to go to the Silver Room for a single vote and a briefing. So thank you.
All right. Yes, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader?
No.
For
the
Mr. Senator from
Just
Women's
an
Caucus.
announcement.
Yes.
No, not even Women's Caucus.
Oh.
We have a time change for our photo that's to be taken tomorrow morning. And I would just really like to strongly encourage our women to show up at 10:30 tomorrow morning with your Maryland colors on. We are 82 women strong in the legislature, and it would be so nice to be able to have all of us be there for that photo. It's a kind of a historic moment for all of us. So it will be in the hallway on the steps at 10:30, and please mark your calendars and try and be there for us.
Thank you. Thank you for that announcement. Yes, Chair recognizes the senator from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the Republican caucus will have a very quick meeting at 11:30 in the caucus room.
All right. Chair recognizes the Rules Committee Chair.
No, the president of the Prince George's Senate.
Yeah, Prince George's County delegation. Yes, of course.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Prince George's delegation, Senate delegation, will meet tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the Neal Room.
All right. Thank you. Any other announcements, delegations? Yes, Chair recognizes the senator from District 7.
Yes, Mr. President. Polar Bear Plunge. It's the last announcements I'll make. It is tomorrow, the legislative plunge. The Senate is going to be represented very well. We got the President of the Senate announced on BAL this morning. He will be there. We have the Chairman of of JPR who's stepping up. He's going to be there. We have the Crown of Cambridge. She will be there. And myself. So anybody else would like to come out, it would be great to have you. Even if you don't want to plunge, just come out, be morale for us as we go into a balmy 50.5 degree water temperature.
It's getting warm. It's getting warm.
It is. It is. So it's a great cause. It's worthy. Some of us have pages. If you'd like to donate, we'd love to have your support. It all goes to a worthy cause. So again, Polar Bear Plunge tomorrow, legislative. Senate's going to be represented. I don't know about the House, so at least we'll be there, Mr. President.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. All right. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder to the Legislative Black Caucus members, there is an election today where you can vote in the Old House chambers.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd District.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Tomorrow morning, tomorrow is, if I check with my friend from St. Mary's County, Maryland Day. So we are very fortunate that soon, tomorrow morning, there will be delivered to your office a bagel with the Maryland colors embedded. Generosity of, well, it's a serious issue here. Generosity of one of my constituents, Jerry Sununu. Jerry owns a bagel manufacturing shop up in Baltimore. His son committed suicide 2 years ago. And much of what his recent promotion is the recognition and respect that we need to give this disease and the things that we can do to help. So when you get your bagel, Maryland Day #1 and mental health #2. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you for that. Thank you very, very much. THB, it's like half my salary goes to THB for what it's worth. Look, before we adjourn, just one quick note. Look, I think the chairs know how much I support them, but in this moment in time, I just want to make it abundantly clear that we are incredibly blessed to have an incredibly talented person leading our Judicial Proceedings Committee, who I stand 100% behind and that deeply, deeply appreciate. This is a hard job. This is a hard job, and people don't see the human side of this. They don't get it. There's a way to engage, and there's ways not to engage. So, Chair recognizes the senator from District 6.
If I could just go on with that, Mr. President. As a veteran.
Very briefly, Senator.
Yes, sir. Very, very briefly. As a veteran, and as a person that I know that have served our country, what was stated, we need to honor those that honored our country, and those that have served their constituents. And we can never do enough for our constituents, but we fight here every day. And we continue to fight in a good way. And I think the Senate proves that, Mr. President, as you know. I just want to say, again, I count him a friend also. And I'm sorry that he's going through what he is going through. But my prayers are with you, my friend. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
for
Senator.
your words.
All right, let's do a quorum call before we adjourn.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Friday, March 25th at 11 a.m.
Without objection, so ordered. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.